Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, but also happy St. Patrick's Day. And as you know, every Monday I come to you with an amazing author from the Change Book International podcast. And one of the things we like to do is we like to catch up with our authors even after they've been interviewed the first time. And today is no exception because I have an amazing lady that is going to tell you how she has utilized the Change Book to move forward in her life. And I want to welcome to our stage Carla Hooker. How are you, my friend?
Hi. I'm doing great.
You are looking good in that green today. And do you know when we were texting last night and you said something about St. Patrick's Day? I wouldn't have even remembered if you hadn't mentioned it, because I've been kind of on the road with another one, collabing with another one of our authors. So I kind of lost the dates, but you look fabulous in green. How have you been, Karla?
Thank you. Today is St. Patrick's Day. I'm not Irish, but I like to play along ever since elementary school. I'm a big kid. I tell everybody I'm a big 4-year-old. So this is what you get.
I love it. I think you look fabulous in green. I'm grateful that you're here. And I want to hear what made you initially decide to become an author in the Change Book.
I was contacted on Facebook. And at first I was like, is this some kind of scam? Who's looking at my Facebook page that I don't know? I know there are people all over the world that check out your Facebook page, but they hit me up in Messenger. It was Karen Hager Butler. And I'm like, I don't know this lady. So I said, well, let me reach out to 2 people in my Forbes community because I know they won't lie to me. And I saw that she was friends with you and she was friends with Glenda Kroll. Yep. And you all were like, oh, no, it's no scam. Go for it.
It's real. It's real.
And then I had no idea at the time you and Glenda had a podcast together. God aligns everything that I do.
Always. And you are a very blessed lady.
I am. And that was no coincidence that I picked you 2. She was friends with a few other people, but I was led to you and Glenda. And then I'm glad I was, because you told me to go for it. Glenda said, go for it. And then I met the 2 gems and the rest is history.
Right. And when you talk to those 2, there's just no doubt in your mind that this book is something special. That's how I felt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, I talked to Jim Lukes at first. And I mean, they both are so genuine and they're just real. They keep it real. There's no it's straight talk, no chaser. They're just who they are 100% of the time. It's no stage Jim and then the real Jim and Jim. That's who they are.
That's who they are.
They are who they are all the time. And I love it.
That's one of the things I most admire because, Jim Britt, he's one of the top 50 speakers in the country. Jim Lutz, he has these masterminds in the San Diego area. I mean, I've met people that have far less that act so arrogant, but these men are down to earth and they're real. And I think that's the thing I appreciate the most about these 2. Plus they give great advice, don't they?
Yes. In my mind, they don't know this. Well, they'll know after this interview, but in my mind, I pretend like they're my 2 big brothers. That I never had. So when I talk about them, it's like I'm talking about family. And it's both of them are money in my mouth. When I mention them, it's their money in your mouth, because as soon as you mention their name and I say, these are the world's best mind experts, the world's best speakers, the world's best, I always put that in front of their names and it immediately gets people's attention. But then I can back it up. And when they see I can back it up very quickly, within 60 seconds, they're sold. They want a book. They want to know more about them. They get their phones out, or if they already have it in their hand, they start Googling Jim and Jim, and they see I'm not lying. It's all true. And they become very interested, and they tell whatever I tell them to their friends, or they're eavesdropping when I'm talking to somebody else in a doctor's office or in a restaurant or wherever I am at Starbucks. They're listening to what I'm saying. And then they go, excuse me. And I already see them listening. My peripheral vision is really good. My night vision might not be so hot, but my peripheral is very, very, very good, Nicole. And they want to know what's going on. They want to be a part of it. And then they end up buying a book. So I work it and work it as much as I can. And when you work it, it works.
And do you carry those books with you everywhere you go?
Oh, yeah. At least one. At least one and at least two in the car.
Very good. I love that. I love that. And you're utilizing it quite well enough to have had some book signings. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. I did one book signing at my dentist office. Yeah. For her staff. Wow. She loves me. She was excited. She and I took photos together. We went outside and took photos in front of one of her employees' motorcycle. She's a Carla Hooker super fan.
So
love her.
So am I.
Yeah, thank you. I did one at Hallmark, and they're waiting for the next book. They're like, Carla, it's time to do another book signing. I said, okay, I'll bring both books. I have The Change, Volume 20, and then I have what's about to come out, I Ain't Never Been Ordinary, Nor Have You. So I will be doing another one at Hallmark at the request of the manager. So when you work it, it works for you. Same thing with Starbucks. She said if I wanted to come there every Monday and do something, a talk, a chat, whatever, I'm welcome to do it. It's just things have gotten so, and I don't want to say crazy, but as expected, things just keep elevating to another level. So I'm usually in a meeting or doing something else on Mondays at that time that she allotted me. But whenever I am available and I can, she told me I'm welcome with open arms. And that was the owner of the franchise here where I am in Sanford.
Wow. Now, you also ran for the Board of Education.
Oh, yeah.
And you won. How did you utilize your book in that?
I told in my bio that I'm an author in The Change. And then I mentioned the two gems. When you mention the two gems, it works. It's like gold running out of my mouth. It works every time. I mentioned my connection to Mr. Les and training with him. I mentioned Forbes. I mentioned people who matter and people who are real and respected by people all over the world. And that gets people's attention. Plus, this is who I am all the time. And using that along with speaking up on pretty much every podcast that I'm on for people who have disabilities, physical challenges, mental challenges, or whatever, and being an advocate for that for many, many years, especially for myself. I can almost say 56 years, but I haven't been advocating for myself since I was a baby. But I've been living with this for 56 years, and I speak up for people. So people respect that. They feel heard. They feel seen. They feel understood.
And you call yourself the Sickle Cell Warrior.
Yes, I am a Sickle Cell Warrior, and my thalassemia groups told me to make sure I don't forget to mention both. I have two challenges. I'm a thalassemia thriver and a sickle cell warrior.
Okay.
They're almost one and the same, but they are two different diseases.
So what is the difference between them?
With the thalassemia, they both have chronic fatigue. They both are affected through my blood, and they both are genetic. But as I've gotten older, I noticed that the thalassemia, the pain comes more in the bones.
Yikes.
The sickle cell can affect the bones too, but that's more muscular, skeletal than in the bones for me. Now, somebody else might be saying, no, she's getting it all wrong. It's in the bones too. I'm speaking for myself. This is how it affects me.
Clarify, right?
And with the brain fog and the chronic fatigue, it's both. So sometimes when I talk to my hematologist, we don't know which it's coming from. Plus, I also am a survivor of COVID. I had COVID 4 times and ICU COVID. And I'm a survivor also of palliative care twice. So, hey, I'm glad I can remember my name.
And you talk about those things now, like sickle cell, that never goes away, right?
No.
Okay, so that's just something you're going to have to live with forever.
I won't say forever.
Okay.
There are 2 cures, but I don't currently qualify for them. Someone just sent me something in Messenger, and I know they did it out of love, not understanding that I don't qualify for the CRISPR treatment, which has healed many people and cured them from the disease. And the other they have a stem cell treatment and a bone marrow transplant. Those are the only 2 ways to cure the disease. But because I am 56, that's like being 76 years old with sickle cell, because our organs aged about 20 years past our chronological age.
How old were you when you found out you had this disease?
I was fortunate. My parents found out at birth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of people don't find out until later. Now, with my brother Wayne, who passed away in 2017, my parents knew at birth with him also. But my dad and my stepmom, when my dad remarried, my baby brother David, they thought he had the trait until he kept getting sick in marching band in high school. So they retested him and found out he had the disease. That's why he kept getting ill being out in the heat. He was going into a full-blown crisis.
Wow, and how do you keep it to where it's not affecting you full time? What are some, not a cure, but what are some remedies from maybe the pain, or like your brother being out in the sun, it affected him?
We have to stay hydrated. I still tease my mom and my brother and I. My brother Wayne, my late brother, and I used to laugh and tease her as adults and say, "Go drink some more water." But she was telling us the right thing. And we would say, we don't think we can go to school today. Our joints are hurting. We don't feel good. And we wouldn't be lying, but she would say, "I got to go to work. You got to go to school." And we should think she was so mean, "Oh, you're a mean mommy. We don't feel good." She said, "If you get to school and you're still not feeling well, you can call. But other than that, do not call my job. You have to learn that everybody's not going to care about whether you're in pain or whatever, and suck it up." And she was tough, but I'm glad because I've learned to push myself through more. Her coaching worked because, and people might go, "Oh, that's horrible. Oh, that's terrible." She didn't coddle us. She let us realize what real life was in reality. And I believe that that's why I'm able to be the way that I am today.
So would you say she created the warrior in you?
Oh, yeah. She was definitely a huge part of it.
Oh, that's now.
Oh, yeah.
Even with this disease, you have done so much because you're a kids dance specialist.
Right.
Can you tell us about that?
My parents knew that I was always getting into stuff. I was a busybody. I would go and pretend like I was ironing with my little ironing board. I was cutting the grass on the carpet. I had to do something constantly. So they decided to put me in dance, and I loved it. But what I remember in dance that made me start dance and be more compassionate towards people was when I would leave, my teacher would get me dressed in my leotard and tutu and all that good stuff and tights and my ballet shoes. And I'd get on the little dance bus and go to my dance class. But I remember the friends who couldn't go and how sad they were. And some would cry because their parents couldn't afford to pay that extra for them to leave from preschool and go to dance. And I remember that vividly. I don't remember the kids' names and all that, but I remember me always going and them always being stuck and having to stay. And that made me say, you know what? I don't ever want to teach dance and turn someone away who has a desire to. And so I never have. I've never turned anybody away because of their ability or inability to pay.
Wow.
I find scholarships, I find sponsors or whatever is needed because that'll play with somebody's psyche. I can't because I don't have the money, or I want to, but it's no need of me trying to push that way because I'm not going to be able to. So I try to remove all the barriers by doing whatever I can to help.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love the part where, the barriers there, because, certain kids that couldn't do things, that creates sometimes emotional trauma for them, that they're the ones that can't. So how do you find your sponsors? Do you go out personally to find them?
I ask people. I've got lots of friends. I know a lot of people, businesses that are frequent. I say, "Hey, can you sponsor a kid for the show?" And they're like, "Well, what do they need?" "Well, this kid's ballet shoes are too small. Their toes are curled up like this in the shoe. I'm going to pay for 5 pair, but can you help?" "Sure." And they might just give me $100 or write a check and send it in. because somebody's always needing something. Leotards tear up, tights get torn and snagged, and they need to be replaced constantly. Dance is an investment, and it's a sport. People don't think it is, but it is.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I'm not afraid to ask. I've asked family members. People will cash at me, and some kind of way I make it happen.
Wow. And my daughter started dance at age 5 and is still doing it today at 30, not in the classroom, but she would teach, she would choreograph. And you're absolutely right. It's a sport, but it can be a very expensive sport.
Right.
And so for you to get out there and bring in that money to help these girls, I think that's amazing, because from what I saw, dance teaches you so much. Discipline. It teaches you how to work with other people. It teaches you how to listen. So many things that you're not really taught certain things in school. You're taught them with sports.
That's true. And kids who dance and are involved in the arts, they excel more. Their academics tend to be higher. And studies have shown this. I'm not just making it up. They tend to be more compassionate people, and they tend to follow a road of success for the rest of their lives, because that discipline was instilled, and the habit of showing up and doing what they're supposed to do. They have to do what's required to be in a dance. You have to know your part. You have to practice your part. You have to practice it every day. You have to stretch. You have to, all those good things. It's just like football or basketball or any sport that someone plays. You have to be disciplined. And I believe that discipline, especially in children when they start young enough, continues on throughout your life.
Absolutely. And I can remember if she would get in trouble or do something, her dad, my ex, would always say, "You've got to ground her from dance. That's what she loves."
Right.
Like, no, you don't understand. She's probably got 10 other little girls counting on her to be in her position to practice their dance as well. So that was one thing I was just like that. No, that is not happening. I'll make her read a book or something. She didn't like that too much, but you can't keep them from something like that, because there are such great life lessons in something like dance.
I would tell the parents, let me punish them. Bring them anyway. I would have them walk extra laps, do extra stretches, do more plies, whatever it took. But I said, they need to be there. Because then after a while, if you get in enough trouble and you miss enough, then you don't really care whether you go or not. And I had worked too hard to build them up, to let them be broken down, and letting ballet or dance be used as a punishment. So I agree with you 100%.
Good. I love that. Now, are you their teacher, or do you have a big studio and many teachers?
I've had different teachers, and when I start back up full force, because I've been on a little sabbatical caring for my mom, I will bring back my teachers. I have 2 that teach only hip hop.
Oh, fun.
One was he made it all the way up to not the finals, but he made it up to like the top 20 with So You Think You Can Dance, like when it first came on. Then I have another, he has danced with people who choreographed for Beyonce.
Wow.
And but their hip hop styles are totally different. Then I have someone who also has taught ballet. He's down in Pinehurst. He's gone to the North Carolina School for the Arts. And then I have friends who will teach remotely. She's been out in California and Minnesota and all over. She's choreographed things and danced backstage. I mean, not backstage. She's danced on the stage with Missy Elliott and Snoop Dogg and Ludacris, you name it. And I've known her since childhood, and she's willing to teach remotely. My friend Vincent Williams danced for both my company, Dance Theater of Harlem, and he also danced with Alvin Ailey. He is probably 66 or 67 now, but no, he has the body of a 25-year-old football player.
Wow.
Yeah, because he dances every day.
Keep moving.
So I've got plenty of people who are still in my circle, and a friend of mine, Kathleen, she was with New York City Ballet, and she knew Arthur Mitchell back when they were younger. And she said, I never got to dance with him. I was never a soloist or never got to do a duet with him, but she was always part of the corps de ballet. So, and for people who don't know what we're talking about, that's a group that kind of backs up the ballet dancers, the lead ballet dancers. So I've got plenty of people, and I've got other friends I can reach out to, from Virginia Johnson, who is now retired. She was the artistic director of the Dance Theater of Harlem, and she stepped down and she's retired now, but she's like a big sister because I was around her a lot, especially when they came to D.C. to do the residency programs with us at the Kennedy Center. So the list goes on.
Whew, that's amazing. And I know that you're a disability advocate as well. Now, do you have any dancers that have disabilities?
I've had kids who had disabilities throughout the past almost 35 years, from asthma, chronic asthma, ADHD, ADD, some who had other mobility issues. The parent might not have necessarily told me exactly what the illness was, but you could see maybe feet turned in the wrong way and it wasn't ever corrected in childhood. There have been 2 or 3 students where I helped the parent correct their feet and prevent the kids from having their legs broken and their feet broken.
Wow.
Yeah, because I had done it successfully one time. And I'm not saying that I'm some miracle healer or a doctor, that I'm not. But I just knew I could do something to make it better. And what we did was, just as we were putting the ballet shoes have to be switched back and forth. There's no right and left ballet shoe. If you wear it on the same foot, Nicole, right, it'll start looking really crazy. So you have to tell the kids constantly, switch your shoes, switch your shoes, switch your shoes. But with tap shoes, there is a right and left. So what I would do in the jazz shoes too is tell that child to put their shoes on the opposite foot. And then I told them to do the same thing with their street shoes. And the parents were like, oh my God, you were right. Their feet are turning back around. They're straightening back out. They didn't need the surgeries.
Wow.
And they thanked me for them. I've had kids one kid was partially blind in one eye. I've had a child who was deaf. She couldn't hear anything, but she was one of my best dancers. And she's in college now. She's a junior in college now. She could feel the vibrations and she danced. Nobody ever knew. She was one of my best dancers that I've had.
That's amazing.
So the list goes on.
I'm sure it does. And when I listen to you, how inclusive you are, it makes me sad that there's so many people that might not be.
Right. Yeah, especially if the kid is not a cookie cutter shape. If my performance troupe, I don't care if you're my size and I'm plus size. If you're my size or if you are nice and svelte and petite, it doesn't matter. Who are the best dancers? That's who's going to perform.
Exactly. And you can tell when someone just loves it, because I've been in there, with my daughter, and you can see who's being forced, like their mom's like, you are going to dance, and others that just get there and they are dancers.
Right.
So how do you handle the moms that like force their kids?
I tell them it's a good thing.
Okay.
Because I talk to the kid and let them know that their parent is investing in them. They don't have to. I said they can just let you sit home like a couch potato or in your room somewhere in a dark corner and do nothing. I said, so you need to be more grateful for what is being given to you, and you'll appreciate it later. I said, and then I tell them stories about me with my mom and how she would make me go even when I didn't want to go. And it worked for me. I said, now what if she would have just let me just do what I wanted to do, like you want to do? They said, oh, that would be dumb because you wouldn't be a dance teacher. Exactly. I said, exactly. I said, and my mom was the same way when I played instruments. I played the flute and bassoon. Yes, the bassoon. People go, bassoon? That's a little weird, but I ain't never been ordinary like my book.
You're unique. You are not.
I am unique. That's right.
And speaking of your mom, I just saw something on your Facebook page. She's 80, right?
She is 81. She'll be 82 in December.
But she's still dancing?
Yeah, she's dancing. She is a cancer conqueror. And for her to stay up until 1:30 in the morning and party with me and my daughter, I could barely stay awake. this party with my daughter who is turning 30. She still isn't 30 yet, but she celebrated early and we're celebrating all month. But to me, I think that's remarkable.
Oh.
And she partied the whole time, and I kept asking her and having other people ask her and other family members who were there, young family members my daughter's age, Grandma, are you ready to go home? Mary, are you ready to go home? She was like, no. All right. So she did the 360 booth. She did the selfie station, and you saw her. She was wide awake and having a ball.
Yeah. And that's what life's all about. You can go sit on a couch and watch TV, or you can get up and live.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, I choose to get up and live. I know you do too.
Yes.
It sounds like your mom is a warrior that has passed that down through generations.
Oh, yeah. And my mom doesn't play. I laugh, and my daughter and I have a joke, and we call her a gangster, like an original, an OG, as the kids say. My mom does not play. Her old students will tell you, Miss Hooker did not play with us at all. But they love her, and they come back. They call. I get messages on Facebook for my mom all the time. There's not a week that goes by that I don't get messages from some student. Tell Miss Hooker I love her. Tell Miss Hooker I miss her. Tell Miss Hooker this. When are you going to bring your mom up so we can see her? If you do something for her down there, please let me know so I can come and take off of work and make arrangements. They love Mary Hooker. The students I need to write a book, The Students of Room 212, because that was her classroom number.
Absolutely. That'll be your third book. So I'll be on the lookout for that too. Well, as we're getting close to the end here, you've done so much. What's next?
What's next is some book signings with the Change book again. And with my new book, I Ain't Never Been Ordinary, Nor Have You. That one's being published by Page Publishing House.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that, especially since when I presented the manuscript to them, I didn't think it was finished, but they felt it was finished, and they were glad I didn't touch it and try to edit it. They liked it exactly how it was, and it was by unanimous decision that they signed me. So, yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Things just keep happening. It's all God. It's all God.
Yeah, and really, you are a firm believer in you, and I think that's part of your beauty. Things are going to work out for you, and they do through God.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Thanks.
Well, before we leave, just give us some words of wisdom, because you have a lot of it. So what would you leave our audience with?
I would leave our audience with, no matter what's going on outside of you, whatever's going on around you in your environment, whatever's going on at home, everybody has storms, everybody has situations, everybody has challenges, but it's just a temporary thing. So just keep pushing on, keep one foot in front of you, take one step at a time. You're going to get through it if you keep moving.
Wonderful. Well, Karla, I always love talking to you. You are so full of wisdom and knowledge. So thank you for hopping on here with me this morning. I love catching up with you. I think you're absolutely amazing. And thank you so much. And to our audience, I'll have ways to get a hold of Karla, because believe me, she is someone you want to know. So thank you. And
thank you, Nicole, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
You were like my first thought. I'm like, I'm getting a hold of Karla. I love that girl. So everybody, next Monday, I will see you here at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you.